What's going on YouTube? Today what I'm going to be doing is printing some birthday shirts, and I'm going to be doing it a little bit different, so I decided to make a video on that. What I'm doing is printing on a heat transfer, which I really don't use too much. This is a 11x17 heat transfer. I decided to make this video because if you're looking to get into the screen print business, or you're already in the business and you just want to be able to do full color prints, whether you have a single color press or a 4-head press, this is going to be an easy point of entry. If you don't want to spend a lot of money, all you're basically going to need is your heat transfer paper, a printer. Right here I have my Epson 1400, which is going to print your wide format sheets, and Photoshop and a heat press, and that's going to be about it. You might not even need Photoshop if you don't have it. You're going to be able to find these right here readily at the store. These are going to be a little bit harder to find. These are going to be 11x17 wide format. I'm going to leave a link in the description where you can get these online. You definitely are going to find these like at a craft store, maybe something like that. But at a regular Walmart or something, you won't find them. What I'm doing is actually printing these in pieces. So this car right here is going to go on the bottom, and then I have this piece right here is going to go on top. So this is going to be cut out. This is going to go on top of the shirt, and then the car is going to go on the bottom. So let's get right into it. Side note here, I'm using a different camera to film this, so I'm really not too sure on how the quality is, but whether it's good or not, I'm posting it anyway. I also had a few hiccups here, as you can see right here in the ink. I had some ink blockages, so I had to get that taken care of. Also, when I had this one was printing out, the ink started running out. It didn't actually start running out. The head just got blocked for whatever reason, and I was trying to clear that out for a few hours. That took a good amount of time. Got all these trying to get all that out. Trying to clear that blocked head. Bunch of paper, bunch more paper in the trash. That took a lot of time. Didn't want to do it, but here we are. Now what I'm going to do is cut each one of these out here. Now this is the tedious part, cutting everything out one by one. That really takes some time. And one thing that I'm going to be doing different here is I'm also going to be using my vinyl cutter. So the only thing I'm going to be using my vinyl cutter for is going to be this part right here, Happy Second Birthday. Now if you don't have a vinyl cutter, you can definitely work this into the transfer material, but it just looks a lot cleaner if I use my vinyl cutter. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. So what I'm doing here is I'm just merging everything together, getting it all done. So right here what I'm doing is I'm fast forwarding through everything, getting everything separated, merged together, and exported to get it into my cutting software. If you're interested to learn how to make artwork for your plotter, I do have a 2-part video that shows you step by step from creating the artwork, separating it, vectorizing it, exporting it, and actually putting them on your plotter, weeding out the whole 9. So be sure and check that out. Not sure what you need to get started, or just want to upgrade your equipment? Be sure and check out my Amazon store for the best deals on sale for screen print supplies and products all in one place. Alright YouTube, so the time is now 10:37. Didn't know it was actually this late. I've been on this order on and off since about 11 this morning. That's the beauty of having your own business, you get to choose your own hours. I took a little break, picked the kids up from school, hung out with them for a while, went to my daughter's basketball game. Now I'm back at it. So what I have here is my heat transfer vinyl, all weeded out, ready to go. And I got my shirts here. So let's go ahead and get this order done and out. So right here you can see I gotta peel that backing off. Now that's a little time consuming in of itself, because sometimes it's hard to get that little corner. Depends on what transfer material you use. Some are a little bit easier to work. Another little trick is gonna be once your paper gets printed out with that ink, you're gonna wanna let that ink set for a few hours, because if you print out your paper and you go to cut it right away and then you try to peel it off, that ink is gonna come off of that paper. It's gonna start flaking off. So you're gonna wanna make sure, you know, it kind of sets there for a few hours before you start messing with it. So now that's gonna be the first part there. As you can see, you have that top part, then you have the cars, and right here I'm adding the happy second birthday. And also what I'm doing is I'm kind of fast forwarding this just to not have dead air, but so it's 15 seconds at 320 degrees. It's not just a quick press up and down. So 15 seconds at 320. And be sure you have that Teflon sheet on top of it. If you can't find a Teflon sheet, some parchment paper, you know, just go to Walmart, get some parchment paper, you know, just go get a roll of parchment paper and you're all set. The reason I don't like using that parchment paper too much is because it really is going to be a one and done, because after you use one sheet of parchment paper, it starts crinkling up. So if you use it on a second design or on your second shirt, all those little grooves and that little crinkle that's going to be in that parchment paper, it's gonna set to your image. So you definitely don't want that. So if you do use parchment paper, get the roll. It's a few bucks. You know, use one sheet. When you're done with that sheet, you know, take it off, dump it, use another one. All right, so this order, let me break it down. The material all in, everything all together cost me $3. That's including the transfer paper, the heat transfer vinyl, and your ink cost. You gotta include your ink cost in there. The shirt probably cost me $3. Okay, so you're in at $6 right there. The labor on that was $2.50 a shirt. So right there, I'm all in $8.50. Now you got to remember to throw that labor cost in there, even if you're doing it yourself, because once you start growing and you decide to get an employee, you already know what your labor costs are, because you are going to have to pay somebody an hour. You just factor that into each shirt. Again, I have another in-depth video on how to break down your pricing, so be sure and check out my channel and check out all my different content that I have on screen printing. So yeah, so right there I'm in at $8.50. Now this order I charged $20 per shirt, so total order was $300. Total profit was $172.50. So $172.50 for a good 4 hours of work. Now this order did take me longer than 4 hours. It should have taken me 4, but I had that ink blockage that I dealt with almost the whole night, the night before I got all these printed out. I was gonna originally print all these at night and get everything done in the morning, but it just didn't work that way. I spent a good 4 hours messing with that ink blockage. And the reason that is because my printer, for the most part, I just use it for my screen print transfers. So the only ink that's really being used is the black. So everything else, all the other colors, well, one color mostly, which was the magenta, it dried up on the head and it just didn't want to clear. It just didn't want to go through. So I finally figured that out. So $172.50 for a good 4 hours work, not a bad day at all. So anyway, guys, this is a easy point of entry. Like I said, you know, a real inexpensive point of entry. If you want to start screen printing, start building up your clientele, but don't want to have that expense of actually buying all the screen printing equipment, this is going to be a great way to get into the custom t-shirt business. Start building up all your clientele, you know, get some money, start putting some money aside, and you know, with that money, you know, you can start buying all your screen print equipment, your press, your exposure, what have you, and you're not, you know, shelling out money out of pocket. It's money from the business that you're generating. So again, guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Check out my other content, and we'll see you on the next one.